Okay, brilliant. Cool. Okay, so welcome to tonight's call. As you saw, tonight's call is for elites, premiers, so for everybody, those going to silver and gold. We combined it because it's a topic that is relevant to everybody, and it's pretty much the same stuff we're going to be covering. So some weeks we'll do that, some weeks we'll combine the two groups. That's what we're doing tonight. So announcements, the Immortelle offer is still going till the end of March. Make the most of that. Don't forget, if you haven't watched Becky's continued education class on it, then go on to Essential Gifts of the Earth and you'll see it there, and definitely watch it so you understand how amazing it is, then you can sell it more genuinely. Vanessa Ovens, so next Monday now is when Vanessa Ovens, so she's a presidential diamond, a very successful presidential diamond with lots and lots of people on her team. She got to presidential diamond pretty quickly. I can't remember exactly, but she'll tell us. She's great at so many aspects of the business, and she's going to come on next Monday. It's going to be a live session at 10 a.m. I'm sorry it's at 10. I know quite a few of you work at that time, but unfortunately, because she's in Australia, that was the time that worked for her. So it's at 10 a.m, but we will be, actually I need to check that I can record it, so I can't promise we'll be recording it yet. I need to obviously ask her permission for that. I think she'll probably say yes, so I'll let you know on the Facebook group. And she's going to be covering some stuff that we're going to be covering tonight as well, because I just think these are really important topics, and I just think a variety of people to hear this from. You'll get different tips from different people, and there's not one way of doing any part of this business, and I want to make that really clear. And so I think it's just great to hear from different people, and you'll resonate with certain things. So she's going to be teaching about getting people to classes and getting people to purchase, which is a key part of this business. Also, Vanessa Ovens is doing an essential oils training. So just before convention, on the business day, the Wednesday business day, manage participants, sorry. Okay, cool. So on the first business day, she's going to be doing some training from 10 till 12 on the science and alchemy of emotions. So she's going to be going into quite a lot of depth about the emotions of the oils. So that's going to be really good. So you can book onto that on Eventbrite. I think it's £21. I'll put the link on Silver Blossom, and Bex can put it on Building Gifts of the Earth as well, so you guys know where to book for that. Boyd Truman, Monday 9th of April. He's probably going to be talking about LRP with some other things as well. He's very good at getting people onto LRP. So we thought that would be a good topic for him to talk about. Now, Sean Price, I don't know if everyone knows who this guy is, but he's amazing. He was an account manager. He was promoted to be the manager of the account managers in Europe. So he knows his stuff, definitely when it comes to compensation plan, and strategy and placements and that kind of side of the business. So he's agreed, because he's in the UK at the moment, in the office in the UK, he's going to come on this Wednesday at 8 p.m. and do a live training. So we're not sure whether we're going to split the trainings for that yet, so we'll let you know, but we will definitely be recording that, so don't worry if you can't watch that one. I know there's a lot going on, and we don't want to bombard you with tons of stuff that you feel like you have to come to. Let me make that clear as well, because I know part of this rank advancement, you need to have time to go and talk to people, so you can't be watching trainings the whole time. But we do just want to give as much information so it's available to you as you want. So that's kind of what it is. It's kind of an intense 2-month period where we're trying to get quite a lot of people to share some inspiring and also some great strategy to help you build your business. Emily and I are doing a continued education class on Wednesday as well at 1:30. So you can spend all day on your computer because you've got the question and answer session in the morning. 1:30 spring cleaning. We will be recording that as well. So there's lots going on this week. Okay, so let's just touch on last week's goal, which lots of you did and you posted, and it's just great to hear that. It's really good. It's going to really help drive momentum for your business. So you sampled 20 people, elites and premiers, 30 people in the silver and golds group, And hopefully you're getting some of them booked onto your classes in March as well, starting to fill those classes, which I know some of you posted that you already are, so that's brilliant. So well done. Just on this note, I just want to mention as well that this RAC programme is intense. As you're seeing, like the goals we're setting are pretty high goals, and I don't want some of you that, you know, are thinking this is just way too much to just completely give up and not do anything. That's not the purpose. The purpose of the Rank Advancement Club is, yes, to hit those, you know, people that really just want to go for it and give it everything for 2 months. And that's where, you know, I would definitely suggest you go for these goals and these challenges that we're setting. But also just to show everybody just how to move your business forwards. And it doesn't have to be this many people you're sampling. If that's too much, you know, sample 10 people, adapt it to where you want to be and where it's not pushing you too much, okay? So please don't feel like it's an all or nothing program. We're just kind of helping you to get inspired about, you know, planning for the future as well, and getting momentum going. And that momentum can be a lot smaller, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just about moving forwards and always kind of having a plan for the next couple of months. That's the idea. So getting you into a good habit rather than saying you have to do this amount of samples. Remember, it's always your business. It's completely your business. You get to choose, which is what I love about doTERRA. So this week's goal for the elites and premiers on the call is to sample another 20 people if you're up for the challenge. But really, yeah, book onto classes. So a lot of it this week is going to be following up as well for those that you didn't get to follow up with last week, because you really don't want to just be sampling and not having time to follow up. So better to do less sampling if you're going to miss the follow-up. The follow-up is vital. So please make sure you do the follow-ups for all those people that you sampled last week. And part of finding new people could be you're going to do your finding class this week. So that was booked onto the schedule. So a chocolate class is one option, and Lindsay did a really good training on that. So that's this week. That's what we suggested in your ranking. Okay, so silver and gold, sample 30 people. And again, that's not just you. If you're silver and gold, you may have other people on your team that can, you know, you can work with to do this. So it's accumulatively between you all doing 30 people, booking onto classes, and again, you can include a finding class this week as a way of doing that. A nice gentle way of introducing people to the oils. Now for the silver and golds, we also had the challenge of teaching one intro class, and therefore you want to be looking to enroll 3 people to be on target for your 15 enrollments. Okay, so I'm now going to hand the time over to myself and Vanessa, but Vanessa's going to go first, and we're going to talk about the 3 parts. So first was getting people to classes, then we're going to give some tips for teaching a class, and then some tips for closing a class. So over to Vanessa.
Hi, thank you. Okay, so you've sampled them. At this point, you've followed up with them, and you have had a really positive experience with those sampling people. Obviously, if they haven't had the desired sampling experience, you're going to have to then go back and do the additional oil. But at that moment that you've had that incredible experience, you want to invite them to a class. So it's really about, we get asked this a lot, how do we get people to the classes? How do we, you know, they've had that great sampling experience, how do we get them to the class? Or the other question that I get asked a lot, I'm sure some of you do, is somebody will say, that oil's amazing, I just want to buy that one oil. Because this happens, you know, you've sampled someone with breeze, you've helped them take their asthma away, and they go, I just want to have that breathe. I don't want to come to a class, I just want to have that breathe. So this is what I would say to them. I would say, just come to the class and learn about the science oils. Learn about all the different ways that you can use them. Learn about some of the different properties of oils. Learn about the science behind it. It's a really educational class. And if at the end of that class, you just want to get that one oil, I'll show you the best way that you can do that. Now, if I share that with people, nearly always they come to the class. So I try and lead it from an educational perspective, because I know people then feel like they don't want to be pushy, they don't want to be selling at this point. But if you really get people coming to a class from an educational perspective, then they'll really want to be there. They'll want to learn how the oils work, what the science says, you know, so just make it that part of it that's really compelling, that people drive people to your classes.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that, and sometimes I also say on that note with the education is find out how to use them more effectively, you know, because there's certainly a way of using these oils, and we teach that at the class. And also you'll get to see there's probably other oils you want, so you can then choose which ones best fit your needs and get a better deal when you purchase more than one at a time anyway. So again, yes, exactly, educating.
Yeah, and also the safety part of it as well, which drives into that. So, you know, if they just want to buy that one oil, I'm going to say, look, I'm perfectly happy to get that one oil, but come and learn how to use oils safely, because these are pure oils.
Yeah.
And then you're really driving home the education part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about having some class dates in there. So there's no point in sampling people and then not having class dates set to invite people to. So get some class dates in and set them at different times. So I tend to do them regularly on one day now, but when I started, I used to do different days. So and I've definitely got we've got people in the team who are now setting them on Saturday morning. Seems to be working quite well for some people as a really popular class. Some, if you've got lots of mums, you know, lunch times, mornings. So vary it up a little bit, and then you'll reach all those different people. Because, you know, if somebody works on a Wednesday night and your class is always on a Wednesday night, they're never going to be able to come to your classes. So have a few different dates in, make it really easy for them. I use Eventbrite. You don't have to. I do it because it's free. If your classes are free, you can use it through Eventbrite, and it's free, and it sends them reminders, it sends them a nice map. But honestly, you could just send them an email confirming them onto the class. But do remind them. Obviously, you're going to have to send them. I normally send through Eventbrite. I do a reminder 48 hours before and a reminder on the day. And then I also do a text message. So just texting them just to say, just checking that you've got all the details for tonight. This is my phone number in case you can't find the venue. Really looking forward to see you. Give me, I'll see you later. So I'm kind of assuming they're coming. You don't want to say anything along the lines of, if there's any problems, let me know, or if you can't make it, because then you're giving them a get out there and then. So I always try and lead everything in my email or my text message with just a sort of educational, this is all the details of the class, this is how to get here, make it really easy for them, try and signpost where they're going to, but assuming that they're actually coming to the class.
Yeah, brilliant.
Anything else I've missed?
I was just going to say the same. Yeah, it's creating interest. It's making it really personal to them. And again, so they'll get it from you. So I'm all about relationship, and I think it's so important. So if they get the genuine passion from you and they feel relaxed, and, you know, there's no awkwardness from the beginning, and you really are, like Vanessa says, coming from the educational, you really, you know, that's your core reason. You want to educate people, which is what we primarily want to do. Yes, we want them to buy oils, but it has to come with education. We're not just going to flog oils to somebody. Then they'll feel that. And also, I like to ask people, you know, in that relationship process, you often are just finding out what their specific needs are, aren't you? But if you haven't yet, kind of ask them, you know, what would you like me to cover in the class? You know, I like to make my classes bespoke to the guests who are coming. So what is it particularly that you want to get out of it as well? And then they feel, wow, this person really wants to make it personal to me, and they will feel obliged to come then, especially when you've had that kind of a conversation. But they'll also really want to come because they're going to get their things covered. You know, they're not just going to come to a general class, because remember, even though you know they're going to love the class and you know the class is brilliant, you've got to remember they don't know what they're coming to. So it's without giving them too much information, it's giving them enough interest, isn't it, to make them think, yes, man, I want to come to this. It's not just going to be a boring class about general oils. So
absolutely. And you can also inquire about their family as well, can't you? So if they've got kids and husbands, finding out what is going on health-wise for them, so that you can kind of wrap that into your class as well.
Yes.
And then that's building the relationship as well at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, next slide. So they're all going to turn up to the class. Maybe one will drop out if they're really, really sick. If you've done that part right, then you will get a good turnout. So tips on teaching the class then. So again, I put up in here bold, relationship and trust. You don't always have the opportunity, do you, to do all that big building up of relationships before a class. If you have, then that's fantastic. You'll just carry that on throughout the class. And it's so important to take that time at the beginning of the class to welcome your guests and, you know, be relaxed, not be thinking, have I done this, have I done that? You know, you want to have all the kind of the basics covered by that point. So you can almost just put the class out of mind just for the moment and focus on your guests and make sure you really are welcoming them. You know, look into their eyes, shake their hands, whatever you do, give them a hug if you're a huggy person, but continue to create that bond. Now, if you're doing a class where you haven't met these people before, or if some people are bringing guests that you haven't met, then it's even more important to start creating that rapport with that person, you know, just by chatting, again, just being relaxed and your genuine, natural self. And also, this is where a good icebreaker comes in, is trying to get the oils on people as soon as possible. So don't make them wait for the class before they get to smell an essential oil or you know, feel its effects. So yeah, get that deep blue on them, get some lavender if they're feeling a bit stressed. You know, usually you can get everyone in the class either with deep blue or lavender, generally speaking. People either come a little bit stressed or a little bit achy muscles. If they don't have particular pain anywhere, then I say, most of us, you know, have a bit of tension here, neck tension, and as you're saying that, half the room will be nodding. So you can go around and give them a little, you know, just a gentle pre-class massage. It's a great way to connect with your guests and help them feel relaxed and experiencing the oils. And then, of course, offer them a drink, have the diffuser going, have everything ready, so your paperwork and, you know, all ready, and nibbles and stuff as well. Have that kind of all ready, so you're ready to go. So that's really important, even before the class has started. So it's great when people come a bit late. It's okay, because you can kind of have that time. Now, Vanessa and I both kind of agreed that there's not one specific way of teaching an intro class, and we've both kind of been on that journey, haven't we?
Yes, we've both played around with them quite a lot.
We have, and we've kind of come back to where we started with some changes and stuff. So we just want to, share some kind of some tips that we think are common to every class, and then it's very important that you find a class that you feel comfortable with, and make sure, yes, I strongly suggest you cover the main points. So you do want to have a couple of wow things in your class. And what I mean by that is everyone loves the fact that 1 drop of peppermint is equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. You know, that is a wow factor that everyone can relate to, and that kind of blows people away when you're talking about the power and the concentration of these oils. So things like that, I think, are great. I really love the fact that these essential oils are the immune system of the plants. That's something I will include in every single class. And also, it's really important to get across the CPTG. You know, that however you want to get that across, it's so important you do cover that without going into too much detail, and you can be in danger of going into too much detail with the testing. You don't want to go into too much detail, but you do want to get across what makes doTERRA essential oils different. And I actually drop that in a few times throughout the class. For example, when you talk about internalization, I'll go, you know, and remember, this is just with doTERRA's essential oils because they are certified pure therapeutic grade. And I'll mention this a few times throughout the class so they get it, because that will really help you with your close at the end. So it's good to share your story, a personal story. Definitely personal stories are great in classes. But remember, you might love hearing your personal story in a really long, in-depth way and get emotional about it. But people, you know, will get a little bit bored probably. So I would suggest keeping it to about 2 minutes, because then that's powerful and that's enough. You know, don't go on and on about your personal stories. don't talk too long before getting another oil out. I think it's really important. These oils do sell themselves. So almost the less talking you do, the better. You do need to cover the main things, but don't over talk people out, okay? Let the oils do a lot of the work for you. But make sure, do check yourself and think, am I speaking with genuine passion here and enthusiasm? Because people do buy from you, and they'll really get from you, if you're enthusiastic and passionate about these oils, that will be a lot of their opening as well. That will be another kind of wedge in to them accepting these oils, especially if you've already built up that relationship of trust. They've got to know you a little bit as a person. They know you're a genuine person. And that's going to speak volumes, so don't underestimate your personality. Use your personality. And make sure you really are coming across in as best as you can be. Do you want to say some stuff, Vanessa?
The one thing I've learned is you have to teach the class that feels authentic to you. So, I do think it's good to get to as many classes as possible. And then you cherry pick bits. So that's what I did when I started is I like that bit. I've never heard that said before. And then I take bits from everybody else's class and I kind of merged it into my own. Then I've tried other classes since and always liked my original one. But you have to find something that sits right with you, because when you're teaching it from an authentic place, that's the thing that drives home. That's the thing that comes across to people. And that's the thing that people buy into.
Absolutely, it completely does. And people say it all the time, don't they? At the end, when you're closing it, they're just like, I could just tell you really believe in these oils.
Yeah, for sure.
And they are buying into you. So the other thing we put down the bottom is guest involvement. You're going to really help your class from the very beginning if you've at least got one person singing their praises about the oils that's not trying to sell people the oils, which is another reason why pre-sampling is so important. And yes, realistically, you may not be able to sample every person perfectly that comes to a class. And yes, you're still going to let them come to a class. Of course you are. And there might be lots of people that haven't been sampled. But if you can get at least a couple of them who have had good experiences, as soon as they start talking about it, and they often in classes, the best ones are when there's a bit of chat going on and one person sharing to the person next to them, isn't it? About their experience.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's great.
The one thing I have learned is that English people do not like coming up the front and talking about their experiences. So I personally wouldn't do that. But as you're referring to people, so, just saying, oh, you've had a really great experience. Would you mind just sharing it with everyone? That's, people are quite comfortable with that. They're very easy to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. We had some Americans teach us, didn't we, about bringing people up to the front, but I absolutely agree. People don't like to do that. The other thing that I've just started doing, so again, you can play around with this one, and you really do have to, as we said here, adapt to your guests. So, we've said keep the whole class basic. If there's a doctor in your class, you might have to, or you say to them really that at the end of the class, you can go through in some more detail, or give them somewhere that they can go, so references and stuff that they can go and look up afterwards. And basically, don't feel like you have to know tons of stuff either. You can just refer them to the doTERRA.com science blog. That gives everyone some basic science, and then PubMed, so don't worry if you don't know tons. But what I mean also by adapting to your guests is what's quite nice to do is people can write down their ailments during the class. So I have kind of started doing that, where at a point kind of midway after you've explained the 3 ways of taking the oils, I'll say to people, would you mind writing down your 3 main ailments on this piece of paper I've given them, so you know what to focus on throughout the class, and you can kind of write down the oils that will help, they're going to help with that ailment. So you can start to kind of create a bit of a wish list for your particular ailments. And then what I have done, and this worked really well in the last couple of classes, but again, it might not work in every class, is I'll say to them, before I start going through the 10 core oils, I'll almost let the class direct it a bit and say, does anyone mind sharing an ailment that they want to be covered? And as they share that ailment, I'll then cover the oils that cover that ailment. And so you're kind of making your class more bespoke rather than just going through one by one the 10 oils. So these are different ways of doing it. And I always have just gone through one by one the 10 oils. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just starting to play around with this. And if you think people will not want to, you know, come forward with their ailments, then you could always have people write it and put it into a hat or something, and you just pick it out, so it can be more anonymous. So these are things that you can play around with, but it is about making that class personal, making sure you're meeting the needs of your guests. So if people have shared with you before a class what they want to be covered, you can always say, oh yes, a few of you said you had headaches, so I'm going to cover headaches now. So people feel their needs are being addressed.
Hi, Bex.
Oh, hey, Ems, brilliant. You're on. And do you want to? Yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for joining.
That's cool. So we've popped over. I just wanted to add. To add to that I find it quite important sometimes to take a step back and just before your class to kind of reflect on how you want the class to run, and think about, you know, your intention for the class. So whether you you know, the last class you did, you spent a bit too much time on this, or on this class you really want to focus on sharing your love of the oils more, or thinking of their interests as opposed to yours, or just having an intention that you have that moment, a bit like if you were to go and do a performance, like, you know, is my background, actually thinking and focusing first about how you want this class to run and what you want it to be, and the things that you want to remember in your mind before you actually do the class, so it's kind of in there, and you remember your intention for the class and the feel and the vibe of it.
That's brilliant. And like self-evaluating after each class as well, not being too hard on yourself at all, or being really negative, but more like just self-evaluating and saying, yes, actually I think now I could do this better. That's brilliant. That's really good. And I think before we go on to closing, go on, sorry, Vanessa.
I was just going to say, it's a really good point, because actually if you put the intention on helping people and getting the message across, it actually takes a little bit of the fear away from actually standing up and teaching the class as well, because I think you can get really caught up with how you're coming across and getting really nervous, when actually if you just make it about, look, I'm just going to help as many people as possible and get as much information as possible so people feel really confident with using essential oils, then it takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
And you mustn't deny them from this, you know, if you're holding back, you're denying them the opportunity from something that could really change their lives.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to go back, because I did ask Emily to come on and share some points, which is great, so it's lovely to have you, Emily. We just shared these kind of tips about getting people to classes. So we kind of covered sampling and follow up, and, you know, some other kind of tips, and perhaps asking them what ailments they want to be covered, and, you know, pushing the whole thing that class is going to be about education. Anything else that you do to get people to classes? Because I know you're very good at that as well.
Yeah. So for me, I have like a 3-step reminder. I don't know if you guys do that, but this is what I teach my team now, that we kind of remind them in 3 steps. So after we've followed the effective sampling technique, and they've had a positive sampling experience, hopefully, or if they haven't, you know, you've then established why and where and how, and then given them a positive sampling experience, I kind of have 3 reminders that I will do, and I find this to be quite effective. So the first one will be quite a formal sort of email registration confirmation. So, you know, it's from me, but it will be like, this is to register you at the class, and the time and the date and the details, and look forward to seeing you then. So it's not really personal, but they think that's quite formal and official. That might mean that they add it to the diary. And then I have the second the second reminder will be 2 days before, phoning them. So then it's more relaxed and more personal, leaving a message if you don't speak to them, just to remind them that you're looking forward to seeing them, and adding something extra there, like the parking, or, you know, follow the hallway down and the rooms on the right, or something like that. And then the third reminder would be on the day, the text. I know that we've been trained the 2-step reminder, but I find that the 3-step reminder actually is quite successful for me, and actually getting people to turn up to classes.
It's brilliant.
And also, I don't know if you've mentioned this, but, you know, I find it very effective to join forces and to be running classes together with the team. So, you know, I do a monthly class and I invite my team to come and join me and bring their people along and kind of all join forces and be the community that we are, to share the oils. And that's such a great thing to do, because we can learn from each other, we're holding hands, we're sharing the workload, and it just builds a better kind of vibe than you on your own with maybe one or two people turning up. And it's just nice then, if not many people do turn up, you can just hang out and even do some training together. So I think the whole, you know, what's the point in us all doing classes on our own? If, you know, it's really good to collaborate if you can. You know, if you live close by to somebody, then, you know, I feel like that's quite an effective thing to do. So that's something that I would suggest as being something to explore. Yeah, so that's getting people to classes. Yeah, definitely following, you know, the effective sampling as well.
That's brilliant. I love teaching with other people. I know we used to do that quite a lot, didn't we, in like London and stuff, because a few of us have come to London and do big classes. And so if you can, you know, geographically, if that makes sense, then do that. You know, it's so nice because there is an energy, and certainly if you're feeling a bit not on your game that night as well, you can feed off each other and there's not so much pressure.
Somebody can bring the popcorn, somebody can bring the water, somebody can do the print off.
Yeah, and especially also on online classes. I mean, online classes generally, you know, you don't sign up quite as many people, but it's a great tool to use, especially when you can't get people to come to live classes and you're reaching people all across the country, aren't you? You know, if you can team up with them, which is obviously very easy to do then that's lovely too. It's not just you talking, and I think that's much more effective if it's not just you on the class. It's a better energy, isn't it?
And yeah, and just for during the class, I think it's something that I've learned from my past experience from kind of being in the theatre and on stage and then running my preschool music classes, is to just keep the flow and try and tune in with the rhythm of the class, you know. And it's like what Vanessa and Bex said, we've played around with different options of class, and you know what feels right, you know what flows, and that's ultimately the right thing for you. So it's not wrong if you do something that doesn't work, you know. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes, because you know, we can recognize them, and that's actually part of our growth anyway. But you know, tuning in afterwards and thinking about it and reflecting is always really positive, because then you will really find your way and you'll find your flow and what feels right, and that will truly be you then, coming from your heart and sharing the gifts that you have to share in a very authentic way.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And often when I have done things where, you know, because you've heard someone say it, so you almost make yourself do it, even if it's not quite sitting with you, don't you? You think, well, maybe I'll just force myself. And when you're doing it, you feel the energy change in the class. I don't get as many sign-ups. It just doesn't flow. I'm not saying something that's genuine to me. So I think it's essential. But like Em said, try things. You know, you've got to try things to find out what suits you. So don't be worried about failing at all, because you're not failing, you're just getting one step in the right direction. You're learning, and that's fine.
It's a process, isn't it? It's
totally a process.
That you need to go through. And this is my new mantra: rejection is protection. So rejection is a good thing, because it's like the universe, if you believe in that, kind of teaching us and guiding us down the path that we need to follow. So you shouldn't reflect on it as anything happening as a negative. Always see it as a positive, always see it as a learning. You know, we're not all perfect to start off with. We have to develop and we have to evolve and grow into that. And every step of the journey, we're all learning different parts of things and different elements to this business.
Absolutely.
And learning from each other as well, you know, hanging out with your team. If you feel like something's not working, go and watch somebody else's class and say, can I come and watch you and learn what you're doing and see how you're doing? And then you can tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the smallest thing that just needs tweaking.
Absolutely.
And then it all flows.
My other mantra is, my new favourite other mantra is, we learn the way on the way, which I think, yeah, we can't know it all to start off with.
That's lovely, and it's totally true for the oils, completely true. We're just adapting all the time, always. And also another good thing about, you know, going to someone else's class and seeing them do it is in the nicest possible way. You'll realize they're not perfect either, and it's okay. You know, so it's quite nice to see that you're all just kind of muddling through and trying your best, and that gives you confidence then, I think.
And I love that with doTERRA as well, because sometimes I will watch somebody presenting and I'll think, don't really like that much, but that teaches you as well, because it teaches you that's not your way. That's their way, but it's not yours.
Yeah, and it's successful for them. So,
Absolutely.
So yeah, Vanessa's going to give some tips about closing, then we can like chip in as well, Ems. And if Sarah Barbara, if you're on the call, I know I said for you, and I know you weren't going to be able to join till a bit later, but please feel free to share some stuff. If not, I'll ask you at the end if you're on. Go for it.
So just closing the class. So just keep your class quite succinct, because obviously you can really go to town on talking about the oils with so much passion, but then you can end up really rushing the close part of it, which is a real shame, because actually there's quite a bit of information that needs to go with that too. You know, sharing the book, sharing the closing, the selling the oils, and all the stuff that goes with it. So you don't want to rush through this because people are starting to want to leave. So keep your class succinct, and then you have time to explain it in depth, and you also have time to go around and help people. So mention retail very, very briefly. I would normally say any oil tonight can be bought singularly. But honestly, it's the most expensive way to buy the oils, so I wouldn't recommend it. The best way to buy the oils is in either a wholesale account or in one of the kits. So let me just explain how a wholesale account works for you. So I'm just explaining it to them. I liken it to a Costco card. I think most people can identify with that. And then I would explain the two kits. So I would go through the two sides of kits, holding them up, explaining the value. And I would just say to people, you know, obviously this depends where your budget allows. This is the best value kit that we have on offer, but you have to go with how your budget allows and where your budget sits. So, you know, you play around with different things. Now I feel completely comfortable just going straight out with it. When I started, I used to say, please don't feel any obligation to buy anything. I love sharing these oils. It comes from a passion, but let me just tell you the best way to buy the oils if you would like to do so. I don't say that so much now because I feel a little bit more confident with it. And I feel like by the end of the class, if I've done a great job, everybody should be feeling like, oh my goodness, I want to get my hands on these oils. So I just share the best way to do it. So I have kind of put this on the end. It is a mindset thing. And, you know, it is playing around with it a little bit. So I have played around with different closes. And sometimes I remember I went through a stage of sharing Slim and Sassy, but of course everybody wants weight loss. And as soon as you mention Slim and Sassy, everybody buys the physician kit, which I don't think is the best value kit. So I kind of leave that to one side now. So, you know, it's just sharing, playing around with different things, and you'll find your own rhythm, and you'll find something that really works confidently for you. Just keep it really simple when you go on. Sorry, you're going to say something.
So I was just going to add something on there. So as Vanessa was saying, you know, you don't, like at the beginning she said you don't feel obligated. Now when we do it, like she doesn't have to do that, but the way Vanessa teaches it, people won't feel obligated because she does it in a very non-pressured way. So that's more the vibe. It's about, the important thing is not giving a vibe that people have to buy, and no awkwardness. Again, it's just taking this education that we've taken throughout the whole class. There's no change in mood, you know, no different feeling that I used to feel when I did the close, but now it's just flows, because now look, I'm not going to hold back. Like Emily was saying, you know, we don't want to deny people these oils. We're going to tell them how to get them at the cheapest price. The same way I decided to go and buy them in the first place. I'm not trying to, you know, sell someone something that I wouldn't buy. Gosh, I bought the Home Essentials and loved it. So it's about sharing that and just educating.
Yeah, you're right.
I love it.
No, it's a good point. I don't feel like I'm pressuring people. I'm just telling them, look, this is the best way to buy it. So if you want to. So yeah, keep it very simple. I do think there are a few things that I have to point out a few different times, like 3 times the amount of oil. I probably say this quite a few times because sometimes I don't think this looks like 3 times the amount of oil. I do say this is 3 times the amount of oil. I say that several times. The other thing that I always think I have to point out quite a few times is you don't have to pay the £24 on top of the kit, because quite often people will tick the Home Essentials kit and then they will tick the enrollment as well, and they think that's additional. So I just make that very clear. If you buy any kits, your enrollment is included. It's free of charge with those kits. You are just paying for the oils. So this is why you want to kind of take it, slow it down, don't rush it, say it slowly, keep emphasizing it. So it's really, really clear, because otherwise it can feel a little bit complicated, and people, you know, at this point people are like, which one, where do I go? So you've got to be really clear and concise with this part.
Absolutely.
We don't want to put any pressure on them. This is why, this is the point I'm normally sort of saying, oh, let me just share the book. You know, you're talking about the books, you can hand them round at this point. I explain the feedback form, because this is the kind of, you know, this is a great part where they're filling this in, and then you've got the chance to go around and talk to people. You know, is there anything that came up in this class that you had any questions about? Can I help you with anything? You know, not in a pressurizing way, but just in, you know, because normally people are thinking things and they're too nervous to maybe say in the class, but this gives you the chance to go around and talk to them and engage with them and show them how to look things up in the book, and talk about any questions about the kits. I do try and be, it's a good, really good point, you know, try and be detached from the sale. Give it with an intention. Don't be, you know, deflated. You'll have those classes where one person will say, I'm just going to go away and think about it. And then everybody will go, yeah, I'm going to think about it too. And then everyone will go, and you'll be like, oh. But you know what? That's okay. Everyone has classes like that. And they can, you know, you'll be surprised. They will come back to you quite often. I've had a class where, you know, I've had 12 people go away and think about it, but every single one, because they were friends, every single one slowly bought their kits. So you know, don't be defeated if that happens. Just share it in the best way possible, and be confident that you, like Emily said, it's a really great point. Feel like it's a service. Feel like you're empowering families and homes with an incredible gift of wellness. You know, that's completely my why. And that's why I have no problem with closing, because I know people are not going to regret this decision. I have never had anyone come back to me and go, oh, really, shucks, I bought those oils. You know, if you're following up with them, they're going to be so grateful and so happy with these oils. So it's a really great gift that we get to share.
It's so true. They're only going to do good. They're only going to do good for these people's lives. You know,
absolutely. And it's just making sure they're using them. But yeah, it's a really good point. So just think about evaluating your mindset a little bit about the clothes and the word to use. If you feel like it's a gift, if you feel like you're empowering families, then you won't shy away from it, and you won't worry about closing for people.
Yeah, I agree. I think because the work I did before doTERRA was teaching the music classes to babies and children, that really helped me, because I found it quite easy to say, no, this is how much this costs and it's totally worth it. And so for me, when I teach my class is very free and with love, and hopefully inspiring, and you know, just flowing. But the end bit, the close, is almost just like bullet points. You know, it's almost just like, this is this, this is this, this and this and this and this, and this is what it is. And that's it. You know, at the end of the day, what we have and what we're offering people is incredible value that could change their lives on so many levels. And so actually, the way I see it, the way I believe it, is that it's actually should cost a lot more money than what it does. So again, yeah, if you don't give people that information, you're denying them something beautiful in their lives. And that's the way that I see it. And we don't have to be salesy or pushy, but we're just giving them the information.
Absolutely. And a lot of the clothes, the pressure's really taken off as long as you've done the stuff before. So it's not all about that clothes, it's this journey you've taken these people on, which is why the relationship the whole way is important. And if you haven't been able to sample, I mean, obviously that is the absolute best way. But like we said, you know, if it is just at that class, you've met this person, It's about that relationship you've built from the time they've entered that class and the nurturing process there, and the way you've taught the class, made people feel relaxed, but also addressed their specific needs. By the time it comes to the close, the work's done. You know, it's not going to take as much effort. And when I first started doing my classes, I learned off an online training thing that I watched. It was American. And they taught how at the end you go to every single person, you get the book out and you write down the element, you look up each element and you write down all the oils. And it was taking me, and you can spend like 15-20 minutes with each person. And I found actually that confused people sometimes. So I definitely went the way of trying to keep it as simple as possible. You know that the Home Essentials kit or the Family Essentials kit is going to address most of their needs anyway, and everyone needs it. And yes, they might need some specific oils later for their more specific needs, but I feel like now for me personally, I address that more in the wellness consultation. So I feel like the class is about those core, showing people why they want those 10 core oils, why that's going to service them, their family, and why that's a great place to start. And then you can drop seeds in that, yes, you know, your specific elements I'll cover more in your wellness consultation, and you can start just adding them, just collecting them each month. That's kind of what I say to people, and I'll tell you how to get them even cheaper doing it that way. So.
I also, when I do my class, the enrolment form that I use has got some other kits on it as well. That's just something that I've played around with myself, and I have some more of the expensive kits on there. Because I think in people's minds, if they feel like they're going for
that's what I do too.
Thing, they might not. They might not want that. They might think that that's too indulgent, so they might go for something that's cheap, that's sort of in the middle. Mm-hmm. So for the Home Essentials kit, it's very much in the middle. And I also have the Family Wellness kit on there as well, which I think is a great kit, because I talk about Lifelong Vitality pack in the middle of the class, and I really promote that now. And so that's in there, which is obviously a great consumable product as well for LRP. And then they're also getting the oils, and they're also introduced to a really nice smattering of other doTERRA products to start to spark their interest and further their love. And for some people, I think that's a really good option for them, especially anyone with anything chronic going on. So I find that kit, I talk about that one as well.
Yeah,
I think that's a great one too.
I agree. I totally agree. And actually now, sorry, Vanessa, you go.
No, and I was just going to say, when you're also just doing the kit, just to close with them about what else you're offering them, because you don't want to just feel like they bought a kit and then that's it. They've just been dumped. You want to feel like they're then part of a community. There's an education piece, there's follow-on stuff, there's more stuff that they can come to, there's Facebook groups. There's lots of opportunities to have more contact with a whole community of people where they can learn more about oils. And I kind of covered like various different things just to kind of whet people's appetite, like whether it's hormones, skincare, pet care. There's a whole different plethora of different classes where you can get access to information. And when you get a kit with us, you can have access to lots and lots of other avenues as well.
That's a really good point. And actually, I think it's quite important what I do now in the class. I don't spend tons of time on it, but just to mention, put their mind at ease, that these are very easy to use and that there are resources there for them to use. So I just mentioned the book, I mentioned the app. We'll have a quick look at it. I won't spend tons of time on it because you can get lost in that and that can take over the class. But just to reassure people as well that, they're easy to use and they can use them. And yes, we're going to guide them in that journey. I think that's essential for them. So it's a good point.
See, I tell people about the feedback form right after the enrolment form. That's what I do. And then at that point, I'll mention about sharing. And if they might like to share the oils and have a class themselves and introduce the people they care about the oils. And then I also mention about anyone who's interested in the business, and I give a little bit of information about my story, just a small, very snippet about how, as well as loving the oils, I'm also incredibly passionate about the business and how it has changed our lives. And I'm very passionate about helping others to do the same. And what we're going to do now is we're going to have some time together to look through the books and But then after that, if anybody's interested in learning more about how the business works, we can stay and have a chat, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what it entails, and what it means and how amazing it is. And I find a lot of people stay. So I kind of do that before I do get the books out, but I'm not sure, everybody does it slightly differently, don't they?
Yeah, no, that's what I do now as well. And you're going to do a training on that in a few weeks' time, aren't you, about how to get builders and stuff. So you'll go into some more detail about that. But it's brilliant. I think before we were doing that, we were missing so many opportunities. And actually, when we started doing that, same, like you get people just staying, even if they don't, they're just because someone else is, they'll just listen in. But just to go back to is Sarah Barber on the call at all? If you are Sarah, have you made it back? I know she had a class in Brighton, so I don't know if she did. But the other thing is, we mentioned the lifelong vitality, didn't we? And I know we're all very passionate about this. Definitely in the class now, I used to put it at the end, but for me personally, and I don't know whether you ladies have changed, I put it in the middle. So I do spend a bit more, I make it more of a focus. So I talk about the class being about, wellness, and not just about essential oils, and how, what we take into our bodies is so important, blah, blah, blah. And do that before I do the 10 kind of core oils. And I find that works really well. That is such a good product to get people onto.
I do as well, Bex. I tend to talk about that after I talk about internalisation, because talking about how we internalise things, and talking about the food that we inject, on the subject of food, because I talk a little bit about, how you can internalise the oils. It seems to run quite nicely and flow quite nicely into that at that stage, I find.
Yes, and I think it's important, because often I used to say it more, this is for chronic illnesses, but I was thinking, well, hang on, that's like ruling out tons of people. And Vanessa's shaking her head, exactly. So Vanessa, who's the lifelong vitality for?
Everyone. Well, I always say, if you're feeling tired or lethargic or lacking in energy, which is pretty much 99.9% of people, if you're one of those people who 3 o'clock in the afternoon hits the wall, this is what you need. This is what is going to flood your body with energy and give your energy, all your cells energy, and give you this incredible feeling. And as a mom, and as because most of my moms you're talking to, as a mom, that's so amazing. To have more energy to do your work and your kids and everything. That's how I sell it. And then most people are ticking that box, and it does make people feel amazing. Yet to meet people who don't take it for a month and go, oh my goodness, I feel completely different.
I say to people, in my opinion, everybody needs this, but certainly anybody with anything chronic. That's what I say.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And I also mentioned the two work so well together. The lifelong vitality prepares your body for the oils to make them more effective, and vice versa. The oils help you absorb the nutrients better. So they go hand in hand. And so people want both, which is why the family runs.
And the 30-day money-back guarantee is a big point to mention, because there are some companies in America, I don't think there are any in England that do this, but I would say this is such confidence in their product, in how it's going to make you feel. What have you got to lose? Because for some people who are not used to supplements, this can seem the LLV can seem a little bit expensive. It's actually not at all, but for some people it can seem expensive. I'm always like, what have you got to lose? If you don't feel different in 30 days, you can get all your money back.
Absolutely.
I've got another tip to add for a class. Sorry, I've just, off the top of my head, just thought of it actually, and it's something that I used to use in my music classes as well. Is I used to predict what people their reasons that they might not want to come to my music class, or they might not want to purchase. And it's quite easy often, because it's always usually the same sort of reason. It might be that money, or it might be, I'm not sure if I need it. You can tell from different people what their reasons might be. And I try and answer those questions for them, or those concerns, without them actually answering the question. So with the Lifelong Vitality Kit, you're almost looking at them and the reasons why they might need them, and giving it to them, and before they've actually even thought about that themselves. So, tired mums, or somebody that has pains in their body, you're going to want to highlight that to them, and answer their questions or their concerns before they even have the opportunity to realise them themselves.
It's definitely worth doing that, isn't it? Picking out bits that you know, even from people that you've sampled. If you pick on their bits, like you've put depressed people and you pick out how can help people with depression, it definitely works, because you're just helping to confirm that it's the one for them. Actually, it's for everyone, let's be honest.
Absolutely, I agree. And just another tip as well, I've just thought of, in terms of the individual price lists, because yes, you are going to mention they can get them individually, and you don't want to like hide that fact, but don't spend very much time on it at all, as Vanessa explained. But I tend to just have a few copies of it at the front, so I don't hand them out, I don't give them to everybody, because by far the best purchase for them is the kit. But I do have them there because some people might ask for them, so you want to have them there. You don't want to be saying, oh no, I don't have one. You know, because that looks like perhaps you are holding back. So I like to have them there, but not to hand out to everybody. You don't want to make that the focus.
Yeah,
I do one.
One. We have to fight for it.
One, have to fight for it, and they can hand it around between them.
and I like to remind people as well that if they were to be buying all the oils in the Home Essentials kit plus the diffuser, and for example this month the Immortelle, that would add up to nearly £500 worth of product. So it's way better value than the Family Essentials kit.
Yeah, because it's 135, isn't it, saving? I'm right on Home Essentials.
And then the Immortelle on top.
And then Immortelle, yeah, makes it half price. Yeah, I know, it's incredible.
So this month it's brilliant. This month it's great. Really make the most and pack in those classes, because then you can say how much money they're spending, and people hear that, you know. Just tell them the money. Okay, amazing. We'll go through it. I'm just going to say the challenge, and then if you ladies don't mind hanging around for the questions, there might be a few questions if that's all right. So this week's challenge then is the most people booked onto classes. So the top 3 from each group, so from both groups. So we'll give prizes for the top 3 in the elites and premiers, and the top 3 for the silver and golds, because that's going to be a real focus this week. I know you're sampling more people, but you're also going to be doing lots of the follow-up, effective follow-up, making sure they've had good sampling experiences, and then inviting them to come and learn more. So that's what you want to be focusing on. And the prize is a sandalwood and a citrus bliss. Sandalwood's a beautiful oil. It's one of the expensive ones that you generally save up for at the beginning. So if you win this prize, you can get it sooner than perhaps you would normally. And citrus bliss is just very uplifting to keep you going, energized through all your sampling. I think that's it. Yes, so I'm just going to stop the recording now, unless Sarah Barber's on, but I don't think she is. So I'll stop the recording and she can share another time. More, and then I'll just have a look because there's quite a few questions.